What is it going to take to actually see your creative dream come to life? I mean, it's easy to talk about the inspirational part, the fact that God has given you a gift and given you a dream, but it's going to take more than that, right? It's going to take some actual strategies, some practical things that are going to combine with the spiritual part of you that knows that you're designed to do something amazing. Well, in this creative checkup episode, we're going to get down to the nitty gritty of some of the things you're going to need to actually see your creative dreams come to pass. And we're going to include an amazing tip from one of our established creative experts, someone that's going to help you level up in this area. So give me just a moment to welcome those of you who are new to God and Gigs, and then we'll get right into this powerful and inspiring conversation. Hello and welcome to our show. Thank you so much for making this podcast a part of your creative day. If you are new to our show, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Alan C. Paul. I'm the host and founder, and you're here because as a musician, artist, entrepreneur, creative, anyone in the intersection of the arts and entertainment industry, but also with a heart for God, a heart for ministry, maybe even a position in the church. You are here because you, like the rest of us, want to thrive as an everyday creative by connecting the dots between your spiritual life and your creative life. You want to do this without compromising your faith, but you also want to excel in the marketplace. That's what we do here at God and Gifts. We've done it for about, I'd say 7-8 years now as I'm recording. So now I believe we have established a place where you can find a place, a space, and a voice to share what God has put on the inside of you, but do so wherever you create. And today we're going to be talking about actually building this thing out. We're going to share some tips, some strategies, and some practical things that are happening. Actually, really, as I speak, these things are being designed for you, and they didn't exist before, so that you can honestly say your dream is possible. That is not just a pipe dream. That is not just something that keeps coming up as something you should do or something you could do, but then it's something that you actually are doing. So let's talk quickly about some of the things that are happening in God and Gigs that are helping us to do exactly what we're talking about. You see, in order to build a creative dream, you need people. No man is an island, and the Bible says that it's not good that man should be alone. That's not just in marriage, that's also in your creative gifting. So I'm blessed that we have a community that's connected. We have a Facebook page, a Facebook group that's called God and Gigs, the musicians and creatives who want to connect. I'm sorry, I forgot the actual name. It just popped out of my head. But if you just go to facebook.com/God and Gigs or facebook.com/groups/God and Gigs, you can find our community there. When you connect with other people, with other creatives, it never fails. Your inspiration and your motivation and your ability to do what God has put into your heart exponentially increases. You simply are capable of doing more with a few people by your side who know what you want to know and want to grow the way that you want to grow. So that's the first practical step that you have to take. Now, you can also do so by joining one of our memberships at God and Gigs 360, where you can invest just a small portion each month and you can get this absolutely invaluable training, and you can even level up for some coaching, but we'll talk about that later. So that's one thing that I want to practically remind you of. Another thing you can do is use technology and use the resources that are actually wasn't possible 20, 30 years ago. One system that I know that you may not have heard of, but we're here at God and Gigs, we are embracing, is called value for value. Now, I've hesitated to share this with you because I've wanted to make sure I understood exactly what this was and didn't just throw something at you. But this is a system that God and Gigs is going to absolutely embrace. And to make it very short, I'm going to be talking more about this in coming weeks and months. So I'm going to kind of date this podcast. So when you hear this later on and we've already implemented all of this, that's cool. But what we're basically doing is we're telling you as a community, we want you to be a part of what we're doing, and we want to help you by connecting the dots between what you do, your time, your talent, and even your treasure, so that it can bless the God and Gifts community, so that we can bless you back. Give you value so we can give you value. And so it works simply like this. if you can share a little bit of your time with us by simply sharing this episode after you hear the tip from our established creative expert and you're like, my gosh, this is perfect. Someone else needs this. Then give a little bit of time. Share that podcast, share this episode or another episode that's a favorite with somebody. Secondly, you could also provide talent. We have some amazing creators, people that are actually donating and giving up of their talent to help this happen. The theme song you hear every week was given a permission for us to use by our great friend Tasia Veal. And over 8 years, she's never asked for a penny from that talent. Now, I'm going to make sure she gets some type of remuneration from it. I've been trying to tell her she never accepts it. But that's a way that you can provide talent to our program by saying, hey, I have a theme song, or I can help you with graphics, or I can do certain things. And you want to do those things. Our God and Gigs 360 membership is actually run by one of our incredible experts, Simone, who also is just a part of our community. And that's how she gives back, by helping to administrate our membership. So that's a way you can give back, value for value. You gain value and you give it back. And the last one is treasure. And this is an exciting new development where even people who want to give, not just with PayPal, and you can do that. You can find all the links in our description on how you can support us with a financial donation. But there's also new ways that you can actually do this in real time, digitally, through payments that are actually streamed directly to our accounts through things like Bitcoin and Satoshis. Now, if you've never heard those words before, it's okay. I don't want you to get hung up with the digital currency, but I do want you to understand that the technology is becoming more and more accessible to us as creators, especially as inspired, kingdom motivated creatives. So if you want to be more ingrained and more into that flow of value for value, I'm inviting you into this so that you can see that this is really the new way of thinking about creativity and the way that we can connect with our communities. And it's a way to build your community. So as God and Gigs invests and starts to build our value for value network, which we've already had for a long time, honestly, we just never given it a name. I would love for you to also investigate this for your community, and you can start to build your creative dream. Speaking of creative dreams and building them, I want to segue right there to our tip from my amazing friend, sister in Christ, and established creative expert, Jeneen Hammond. She gave us a tip back before the new year started that would help all of our creators in God and Gigs 360 to level up. But I wanted to share it with you because it's going to help you do the same thing, to build your creative dream and to think through what it really takes to see this come to pass. Let's listen to that tip right now.
Hey there, God and Gigs 360. You know, I had to sing it right. It's kind of hard for me not to. I'm Jeneen Hammond of the Dreamers Village, and I'm excited to share with you what I believe my best tip is for 2024. I would say it's in 3 words: build the dream. I'm going to say it again: build the dream. What do I mean by that? I believe that this is a time for creatives to be intentional about their time, be intentional about their talents, and then be intentional about how they are going to really spread truth through those things that God has given them and graced them and anointed them to do. And so I find myself in a season of transition because God is literally moving me and saying, I'm planting you here because I'm wanting you to build out what it is that I've placed on the inside of you. Literally, he's rolled out a red carpet for me to have an opportunity to do this. And guess what? It happened suddenly. It didn't happen because I just thought it would. It happened because I was praying and saying, okay, God, what is it that is next in this season? And so I want to encourage you with this. If you're wanting to level up, maybe you're saying, wow, I need a little bit more clarity. I've done so much, Jeneen, but I really need clarity and I need some assistance on how to prioritize, and I need some accountability. Maybe you're saying, Jeneen, girl, I done been through a lot. My confidence is not where it used to be. Maybe you're saying, I need a community, the kind of community that's literally going to help me me build the structures. That's literally going to help me build out the things, the plans, the model that God has in mind for my particular dream. If that's you, I would love to level up with you in 2024. And you can visit my website, JeneenHammond.com. But just know that I'm praying for you as a fellow creative. I'm encouraging you. God says that He makes everything beautiful in its time. And what you carry, there's no accident with what you carry. You are a man or a woman of purpose. And so I just encourage you to continue to dream with God, especially in 2024, because let me tell you, He's got some great things in store for all of us. God bless.
Well, my friend, I think you understand the gist of this episode now. Jeneen has already really been so helpful to us as a community. She's been giving back to God and Gigs. Her own ministry is blowing up now because she's been faithful in building her creative community using her gifts and talents. If you want to check her out, by the way, just go back to godandgigs.com and search Jeneen Hammond. That's Jeneen Hammond. You'll find her, and she's been on the show as well, and she's got an amazing interview. You're going to want to go check that out. Jeneen Hammond is a treasure, and her tip was already shared with our God and Gigs Gold members and those who are already in our top tier membership for our mastermind. So now you see there's all these layers, but the key is you need to build it. It has to start from the beginning. I'm going to give you one last little analogy, which has been blessing me recently. And I want you to think about this. Most people think of Jesus when they hear him say, or they hear the Bible say he was a carpenter. They usually hear people say Jesus was a carpenter. They think, oh, someone that worked with wood, right? We think of carpentry mostly in terms of wood. But in my own research and some other studies that I've been doing and some other info that I've been reading about, the original Greek really does not imply Jesus worked with wood. Now, I mean, he, of course, had to do all kinds of things in carpentry. I'm not an expert in what it was happening in antiquity and Middle East in terms of actual carpentry, but everything I'm reading says it was more about masonry or stonework or building. Think more of construction than of just working with wood. And to me, this is an incredible thing for us creatives and Christians to understand. Jesus was a builder. Jesus was someone that constructed buildings or things that were made to stand and last. One of the words that God has given me for the entire year has been establish. I believe that God and Gigs is here to help you as a creative to establish something, to build a foundation for something that will stand the test of time so that your creativity can bless others for not just your lifetime, but for multiple generations. And so what I believe is that Jesus has said, by him being the cornerstone, he's a builder as well. He's building a church, right? We all know this. But he's also building your creative life. He's building you. He's a builder. He understands what it means to have a foundation. You got to have the same thing as a creative. Blessed by God, you got to have a foundation. You got to have a structure to your building, to your creative life. And if you have that structure, because you have people involved, because you have the right mindset, because you have all of these things, you can now build on that. But you have to have a foundation first. Now, of course, our first foundation is Christ, the cornerstone. He is the foundation. But everything else built on top of it, you got to be very consistent and intentional about building those things. That includes business plans. That includes your thinking about your finances. That includes having the right mentorship. People like Jeneen Hammond or LaShonda Brown or Rich Kirkpatrick or any other of our wonderful partners who are established creative experts who have also shared with God and Gigs. You got to get those voices and people around you to help you build the structure correctly. And then finally, you might say the roof of your entire structure is how are you going to make sure that this thing is protected and lasts for a long time? So you got to have something on top. You got to have your planning. You got to have all of that stuff to think long term so that everything that you build in your creative life is not lost or blown away because you didn't protect it with things like copyrights and trademarks, which we've talked with some of our lawyers and people and accountants like Samantha Mabry, who has done a great training on taxes and finances, or Samara Jacques, who has been on our show to talk about licensing and corporate law and copyright law. So much of this is already in our network. So you can see this episode was really kind of like an all-encompassing reminder to you that you got to build on the right foundation. But if you create the right structure for your creative life based on what God has put in your life, you're going to thrive in every area as long as you're doing it the right way. Make God your cornerstone. He's a builder. He understands how to build. But then because he knows how to build, use the resources around you, including God and Gigs, including being a part of our membership, God and Gigs. Now we have this new thing I'm going to tell you right now. It just popped out. Literally, I just made sure that this was here. We have a resource library for you that we're calling the Inspired Creators Corner. It's a portion of God and Gigs 360, but this is super simple to get into. Just go to godandgigs.com/inspired. And this is, get this, only $10 a month. Now, I know I'm sharing this once again. I'll probably change this up and make sure that I share it, but I wanted you to have it right away on this podcast because you're a listener and you are supporting us. So if you're interested in checking out the Inspired Creators Corner, where you can get the templates and the guides and all of our creative checkup library, our videos, and also any other documents and things and research that I've done for software that you should be using so that you can build this creative dream practically, go to godandgigs.com/inspired and you can check out all of those resources as well as joining God and Gigs 360 so you can join our forums and have connection with our community. Well, my friend, that was our creative checkup today. We got a lot into this particular one, but I think this is going to bless you. If it did so, once again, share the value with someone else. We are a value for value podcast, which means everything we're sharing, we give you value. We hope that you'll share value with someone else and with this community. So remember, time, share the episode. Talent, if you have something you can provide for this community through your talent, let us know. Email me at alan@godandgigs.com. And treasure, if you're using a modern podcast app to listen to this, you could actually be supporting us digitally, directly through wallet-to-wallet technology that sends those little things we call boost into our account. And you can do so with a modern podcast app. Check that out through the link. It's at podcasting2.org. Check that out. I would love to see some more of us in that part of the Value for Value network as well. Well, my friends, God bless you. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, continue to become the creative that you were created to be. God bless, and I'll see you next episode.